I've been doing my work over the last, 40 years at this point as a midwife, and the additional skills and competencies that I've picked up along the way have always given me such a sense of accomplishment and pleasure, because I think we all agree we never stop learning. And so for the longest time, I would be looking to add clinical skills. Can I do better hand maneuvers delivering the baby's head? Or can I learn how to get that IV in faster? Or, those kinds of clinical skills and drills that we all do to maintain our sense of competency in the work that we do. So it's not that common necessarily to consider these other pieces as skills or competencies, but I do. And as I've grown in doing the work myself, I've been able to feel so much better and more empowered about myself, so much happier, satisfied with my work. And I think that's one of the best components of adding this layer of skill and competency to what you're already doing. So when you're doing the actual visits and you are doing your decision making based on your usual way, you take the subjective, you take the objective, you make an assessment, you make a plan. You're not changing any of that just because you're adding in JJ Waste stuff. But what you are doing is taking the next steps that you would normally basically hand over to the patient and leave them to fend for themselves. You're taking on more now in terms of, let's say, for example, you've made a decision that there's a need for an ultrasound to find out or to confirm some information, some data that's necessary for the pregnancy. So normally it's like either the script is written, the order's written, or somebody's asked to write the script or the order, or it's secured. The next step in terms of what you've just decided is that we're going to do an ultrasound. So to add some of the different JJ Way components to those decisions, such as, for example, oh, she needs an ultrasound, or I think she needs an ultrasound, then we may add different ways of getting to the same point. So that might include in a discussion about why the ultrasound is needed at this time, or a discussion about what's going to happen literally during the course of the ultrasound, or a discussion on, or a question, how do you feel about ultrasounds? Or what research have you done yourself about ultrasounds? Or how many ultrasounds were you expecting to have? Or how many ultrasounds did you have with your last pregnancy? Or how did you feel about having ultrasounds? Just open-ended conversational chit chat as part and integrated as part of the visit, not as let me sit you down and now we're going to have this deep conversation and you better have some good answers for me, but rather you might be checking the belly, you might be measuring the fundus, and you might be like, oh, hey, you're at that point, it's time for your anatomy scan. How do you feel about ultrasounds? When was the last time you had an ultrasound? Have you had one in this pregnancy? And create conversation around what you're hoping to implement before the end of the visit. And so what you're doing is, without making it painful or a chore or even difficult for the patient or yourself, you are incorporating the shared decision making. Because as you're listening to her responses or the family's responses, you now may need to adjust or integrate into what you want to get done to have them feel very much a part of getting to that point of getting that done. Another way to look at it would be from the angle of, well, we refer people for ultrasounds here. But if you haven't taken the time, or someone else in your team hasn't taken the time to figure out or understand, does her insurance plan even cover her if she goes there? Or does she have an insurance plan? Is she indigent? Is it going to be 80 trips across town to get to that site? Do they have a site local to her home? Could she get it done while she's on her way to the WIC office or on her way to the lactation consultant? Just generally thinking it through from a perspective of, if I had to get it done, how easy or how hard would that be? And then also incorporating a question and answer around that. hey, I'm setting you up for an ultrasound over at this site. Does that work for you? The answer might be, of course it does. But it also might be, oh no, actually last time I went there, they were ugly. Or, I can only get there at such and so time because I've got to get the kids off the bus from school, or who knows, right? So we're opening up the interaction, the invitation for a conversation, the listening to the responses, all of that is additional to, hey, I'm just going to write a script and you're due for an ultrasound, get out of here. Do you see? So it's about how you begin to practice your own skill of integrating shared decision making into your routine, and as opposed to making it a chore or having it be a burden or extra or time consuming, find ways to have it flow inside of what you already have to do. So if you, for example, are, your routine is to get mother onto the exam bed and to get on her belly pretty quick and get in there, all of those things can still be done with the same pace as you do the banter and the conversation and the chit chat and the engagement at the same time. There's nothing more fun than checking a mother, doing a palpation and bringing the siblings on board to help you with that. Bring in the partner. Hey, the head is right here. You want to feel? You want to check? Mama, is that okay? Can he? Okay. The minute you engage the family, the patients, the supporters, you now have a team that leaves that office and goes home and continues what you've started in the community setting. You now have extended yourself and your work and your impact, because that family member, that team member, that neighbor, whoever it is who's in the support team, if any, is able to pick up from your lead that this is not so overwhelming or scary or out of our realm that we can't participate. This is, yes, expert-led. You are a clinician after all, but it's not expert-owned. This is, let us center the mother-baby family community based on what's safe and what's acceptable to mom, to mother-baby. Think about the safety, think about the quality, and think about developing the workforce. Because again, maybe your medical assistant might be the measurer and listening person in your practice. Fine. But then support and encourage, train, and show, model behaviors like this for them. If your medical assistant perhaps only works with working up the patient, taking the blood pressure and the vitals and weighing the patient, dipping the urine, you can help support that station by modeling, showing, explaining, supporting a new way of doing or being, a new set of questions to ask, ways to pose open-ended questions, ways to just zip it up and listen. This is the influence you can have and the team support that you can show and encourage. So look at that bigger picture. Yes, station by station, the patients are having interaction with different staff members and different team members. But you should have a knowledge of all stations. You should keep up to date with what's going on at those stations. How are people interacting at those stations? Why are they interacting the way they're acting at those stations? The detriment or repercussions of their action or inaction, their way of being or not being, their ability or willingness to meet a patient where she is with respect, their, is she giving eye contact with the staff member? Is she supporting the fact that the kids are having a bit of a day and they're acting crazy? All right, so what? She's here, we're going to do the same thing regardless. So it's about managing your teams as well as being the team. It's about recognizing the importance of, in every living interaction between the person coming in the door and leaving out that same door, that there is a direct and concerted and a consolidated effort every single time to keep mother-baby family centered. To be the best clinician, it's not about how well you do your pelvic exam, if only, right? It's about how well you do that exam and how comfortable and safe and empowered on the other end of that exam you leave that mother, that family feeling. That's your work. And that's how the JJ Way model gives you access to that, through using these tenets, through holding the line, through ending up empowering yourself, your team, your agency, and ultimately the families that you serve.